everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is October and we are looking at some spooky or slasher movies for the month of Halloween. Today, Netflix drew me on to Fear Street 1994. Now, I saw this announced earlier this summer and didn't give too much thought to it, but figured what the hell, since it is October, let's give this movie a chance and see how it ranks against some of the other greats. Alright, let's dig into it. In the town of Shadyside, every 20 to 30 years or so, there is a massacre that happens, several dead teenagers everywhere, and the entire town thinks that their town is cursed. They blame it on a witch. Obviously, there are some minor spoilers in this review. I'm assuming that you, at the bare minimum, have at least watched the trailer for it or watched the little preview for it while scrolling through Netflix there. But in this movie here, yeah, teenagers, they start dying. And the movie starts off really great. Taking place in 1994, just from being in the mall and the stores they mentioned, B. Dalton's, Orange Julius, and then the music they're playing. I'm going to be honest with you, it kind of sucked me back to growing up as a teenager in the 90s. Just without the whole getting killed or being in a town where a fucking massacre happened part. It opens up pretty strong in my opinion, with a young girl working at the mall. Mall closes and then the killer is in the mall. Just one of those things that it kind of has that opening sort of like Scream, to where they did something. It wasn't quite as intense as the beginning of that first Scream movie with Drew Barrymore with her intestines hanging out from a tree. But they tried to replicate that, and that's going to be a common theme that you're going to see throughout this entire movie here, is they take bits and pieces of other scary movies and they kind of borrow them for their own use. You know, you've got the phone is ringing, and when they answer it, no one's there. Or when the doorbell rings, they head over and they answer the door and there's no one there. Or a few minutes later in the movie, they're looking out the window and they borrowed it from Halloween to where they can see the killer standing down there by the bushes. These are all things that were borrowed from these other movies. They actually borrow from several movies, so they don't do it often enough, in my opinion, to where the entire movie, I would say, hey, this entire movie is a stolen project here. I would never classify it as that. They did take the bits and pieces, though, and they really made them work. I mean, to be honest with you, this is something that, you know, were you in that slasher field there, you could kind of see these sort of things truly happening. As far as the actors that were in this movie, this is like your B-movie slasher flick. You don't really have these great actors that have been, you know, in everything that you've seen before. There's a lot of unknowns here. To be honest with you, I can't think of a single actor in this movie that I've seen in some other project. They all did a pretty well job, though. I mean, we're not winning any Oscars or Academy Awards here, but as far as slasher flicks go, this is better than, you know, your original Friday the 13th movie. God, I can't even remember the name of the actors in that movie. Kevin Bacon was in that one, but even him, I mean, the acting back in those days was pretty freaking terrible compared to what we've got now. Even to the point to where a couple of the actors in this movie, their characters, I actually was rooting for them, hoping that they would survive this movie by the end of it. You know, so if they're able to pull me in that much to get me invested that amount, they've done a pretty good job. You know, it's done all right there. As far as the other things that happen with the people getting killed, you know, there's a guy with an axe. There's a girl with a little razor blade, kind of like, I guess, Sweeney Todd had. You know, they all those characters, their costumes, their makeup, it all looks pretty good. Even the sound effects, you know, when there's a guy that stabs someone underneath their throat up into, I don't know, what is that, under your chin there. They're stabbing up, you know, just the sound of the skin tearing, the blood gurgling out. All of the sound effects were very visceral and felt what I think, I guess, would be very real. As far as the story goes, they sort of have it to where these people have been possessed by this witch in the past, and it doesn't always make complete sense, you know, as far as the motivations go. At the beginning of the movie, you know, the first killer you're introduced to, he's almost like playing games with this girl that he's stalking here, by leaving out little things for her to notice, and like she'll round a corner, oh my gosh, that thing that wasn't there before is now there. That almost seems kind of like a childish motivation or scenario when you're going to kill someone. and I just don't think that this witch would have them do this. So some of those things kind of stand out. Overall, though, the movie doesn't run on too long. It's about an hour and I think 47 minutes is what it ran. The pacing of this movie is really good here. They keep dropping little bits of information that keep you invested and wanting to kind of go on this journey with the characters. They pull you through. You can tell that this movie was filmed with kind of a low budget, and they used a lot of their budget with some of the CGI near the very end. The CGI, when they did use it, though, looked pretty top-notch. It wasn't overly animated to where you're like, that's completely not real. And it was used in a good way. They didn't use CGI throughout the entire movie, which kind of really helped get you invested in it here, using practical effects for a lot of the stuff here. Overall, though, one of my big questions that I constantly find myself asking in movies like this is, where the fuck are the parents? You know, these teenagers that are witnessing their friends being killed. They've got people chasing them with an axe and knives and, just... They do at one point go to the sheriff, who totally doesn't believe them at all. However, you come to find out that the sheriff knows a little bit more than what he's talking about. And even that is another little peeve of mine, to where it's never really fully explained what the hell that's all about anyway. Overall, though, as far as slasher flicks go, this one is probably... I would rank this one higher up than a lot of the more recent ones you've seen. However, like I said earlier about the acting, it's not going to win an Academy Award or an Oscar. I'm going to have to rate this one against every other movie that I have seen in the past, and I would probably give this one 6 out of 10. As far as slasher flicks, if you're looking solely at slasher flicks, like your Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, those movies with those characters, I would probably rate this higher. I'd probably give it a 7 or an 8. But just overall, against your everyday movies that are out there and your options to watch, I would go ahead and give this one 6 out of 10. I do appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for the next one coming soon, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.